Am I audible, sir?
We can't hear you, sir.
So you are not audible yet.
Hello. Am I
Yes,
audible?
sir. Yes, sir. You are audible now.
Okay, great. Sorry about
Great.
it. Good evening. Just a minute. Just give me 1 second.
Sure, sir. So we'll wait for 2 more minutes and then we can start. That's fine with you. So we are still again not able to hear you. I think the issue is with the earphone.
Is this okay now?
Yes, sir. It's better.
Okay. So the problem is the earphones, I guess.
Right. So we'll wait for 2 more minutes and we can start after that.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. I'll be back in a minute then.
Sure, sir. Nawathe is the current head PAS of SKF Group, where he oversees transformation services and digital tech performance. He has worked with various leading companies like McKinsey, Reliance, TRF, and many others. He has about 15 years of experience with leading energy, chemicals, manufacturing, and other industries across various geographies like India, Australia, Southeast Asia, Europe, and Latin American regions. He has been responsible for performance transformations spanning across operations, maintenance, supply chain, marketing, and CapEx, including Industry 4.0. Mr. Vivek also co-founded a B2C technology-enabled startup, one of the top 3 selected by Government of India for National Level Startup Awards in 2018. He was also nominated for Tata Business Leadership Award in 2013. With that, we welcome you, sir, and we are privileged to have you amongst us for this session.
Thanks a lot. The honor is all mine. Thank you very much.
Sir, as this session is going to be interactive, so please feel free to raise your hands and ask questions as and when you feel like going about it. So, is that fine with you, sir?
I'm completely okay with that. So how are we doing it today? All of you are at the campus or off campus? What is it?
So most of us are at campus now. So about 80 of us are at campus, and and the rest are still getting onboarded to the campus.
Okay. But are you sitting together or it's like individual?
No, sir, it's still an online session. So
it's still an online session.
Right.
Okay. And is it because of the COVID restrictions or what?
Right, so it's because of COVID restrictions, we have still not gone for an offline mode of teaching and classes.
Okay. So yeah, it's still missing the fun.
We are hoping to get back to the offline mode, but as of now, it's still online.
Okay, good. And so should we start then?
Right, sir. So before I open the forum to the participants, I would like to start off with a question myself, and it is more related to the unprecedented times and the COVID crisis that we have seen in the last 2 years, and it's still ongoing. So my question to you is, sir, what innovative steps that can be introduced in order to mitigate risks that are associated with data storage, given these unprecedented times like COVID or any other crisis for that matter? So what are the innovative steps that can be introduced in order to mitigate risk related to data storage?
That's the question I'll charge you for. No, I think before we start, and before I in fact start talking about those specific questions, right? A couple of things from my side. So as we start, obviously, as I said, it's an honor for me to be talking or interacting with all of you at this forum. XLRI has been always very close to my heart, and it's always nice. It's always a pleasure talking to anybody from XLRI and especially XLRI GMP. Having said that, I have been in the manufacturing industry guy right from the beginning of my career. So I worked with Reliance Industries. I worked with Tata. Then whenever I did something in consulting with McKinsey and all, I was completely focused on the manufacturing. Okay, so my focus was oil and gas. My focus was process industries, cements, auto, and all of that stuff. I'm not much on the information technology side of it, IT side of it.
Sir, we have lost you in between. I think he's having some net issues. We'll just wait for a few minutes.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
am I back?
Yes, sir. You are
Oh,
very much audible.
yeah, and this is what this is technology, right? You always face these kind of challenges with technology.
Definitely.
And the more you use technology, the more complicated it becomes. So what I was saying is, I don't know when did I drop off actually, but what I was saying is my career has been more on the manufacturing side of it. And whatever views I am going to express today, or whatever thoughts I'm going to share with you today, Please excuse me if they are sort of irrelevant, or you think that, okay, they are not in sync with whatever the information technology people think about, whatever the creative side of the population thinks about. And hence certain questions I may not be able to answer. So for example, the question you asked, Nirdesh, just now about the innovative ways of what data storage in the time of COVID. Right. Frankly, I don't know. I'm not the guy who would answer this question. I don't have any idea about it. Okay. But as far as data storage is concerned, because we use a lot of data in what we do now, and data has been always bone of contention when it comes to who will use the data and where will you store it and all of that stuff, right? What we are seeing is a lot of times clients and even Indian clients are not allowing us to let their data be transferred or stored on not their systems, so on our systems or maybe Amazon systems or anybody else's systems, right? But yeah, that's not relevant to your question, and I'm sorry, I can't answer your question. I don't have any idea about it. I'll try to find it out. I will provide you the answer, but I'll charge you for that.
No worries, sir.
Just joking.
We'll go ahead with the next question. So Shivangi.
Yeah, and I think one more thing I would like to say. When we started, when Priyanka and your team approached me for this kind of a session, the first thing that was decided that I will come here and I will share with you something on strategy, what is going to change in the strategy consulting, or how is digital transformation shaping up, what are the changes, what are the trends and all of that stuff, right? And obviously there were certain personal reasons because of which I said to Priyanka, that may not be possible today. But coupled to that, what I thought is I coming here and giving you a lot of GAN may not be very impactful, right? Because GAN is available everywhere now. Millions of pages are available on the internet, Google, and mine would be +1, right? So I told Priyanka that let's have an interactive session, very open, very casual chat kind of a session, wherein people actually want to answer, want to ask what they want to understand, not what I want to teach them or not what I want to tell them. And so let's be very open, let's be very casual and all of that stuff. We don't need to be formal, right? Consider me as obviously consider me as one of your friends or whatever it is who has passed through XLRI, and ask me anything if you want. Okay. And I may not be able to answer some of them. That's fine. Okay. So with that in mind, I think we can proceed forward by passing question number 1.
Right, sir. So Shivangi, would you like to go next?
Yeah, Nitesh. Good evening, sir. We are very happy to have you here. So I have also worked on digital transformations like I have seen in your profile, and you have also worked on latest technologies. So here is my question to you: that what is your view on the latest automation and digitization with respect to in human interaction and the opportunities that might be coming in? Because this is the first question that I get in the first place, that okay, you are working with the automation, but how about the human interaction, and what are the opportunities that are going to come? Maybe the automation might be taking the space of humans in future. So how do you think about it?
Yeah, so your question, Shivangi, is about the human interaction and how would that change in
Yes,
future?
sir. With respect to automation coming into the picture.
With respect to automation coming into picture, right? And I think that's a very interesting question, because let's say if we look at the digitization from 3 perspectives, or if at a very high level, if I have to, let's say, compartmentalize digitization into three things. The first I would do is about visualization. The second thing that I would say, it's about, let's say, processing the data, running different algorithms and finding out certain answer. And the third is, how do you communicate that data to the human being? And how do you make sure that whatever insight has been thrown up by the analytics is really deployed on ground? Okay, so if we, let's say, bucket the overall digital or the industry 4.0 in these three different segments, then the first bucket is more about visualization, where you say, okay, I'll be using softwares like Tableau and all, wherein whatever data is available is represented in such a manner so that it throws out certain answers, or it throws out certain insights which the traditional representation was not able to do. Okay, so that is bucket number one. Bucket number two is, we say, okay, we have millions of data points connected now, feeding us real-time data. We have these algorithms, statistics, maybe for multiple decades now. But now, how do we use this effectively to find out something that earlier we were not able to find out? So, for example, how do I predict future? How do I predict the failure of a particular machine, as an example? Okay, so that is bucket number two. But what happens, what we have seen multiple times is, even if you do one and two very effectively, even if you come up with some answer, it's finally the human being who is going to implement or deploy that answer to the plant, or to the whatever, to the domain, or to the real world. And hence, it is very important that the human being finds out the value of whatever is coming up out of AI, ML, or analytics. I'll tell you a simple example. Let's say it's a machine. It's a whatever. It's a pump, for example, and you find out that the problem for a particular failure is, or let's say the root cause for the particular failure is X, Y, Z. And when you go back to the plant people, they would invariably tell you that, yes, we know X, Y, Z is the root cause for this problem. You are not telling us something which is very new. Okay. And hence, automating the insights, automating having a closed loop system probably, or having an answer which would be able to convince these guys, or having an answer which is already not known, which would then go into, let's say, your neural networks and all of that stuff. So finding out something which is not already known. These are a couple of things that are required. What is happening today is, when we look at AI, ML, and a lot of solutions being deployed, they are either on the visual side of it, so a lot of dashboarding and all of that stuff, or they're still trying to find out, or they're still throwing out certain solutions which are already known to the industry, right? So they're not coming up with something new. And a lot of times what I have seen is, people have started feeling disillusioned now with all of this industry 4.0 and all. I'll tell you, whenever I go to customers now, in the past 1 year or so, and I start talking about industry 4.0, AI, ML, immediately 99% cases, the people start laughing there. Okay, because they think now this is something which is sort of just time pass, wastage of time. So I think it is whatever you said, Shivangi, the interaction with the real humans is something that is missing currently. There are a couple of startups which are trying to solve it, as per my knowledge, and there would be multiple other startups which are trying to solve it. But I think we are still probably 5 to 7 years away from getting there. That's what I think. I'm not sure whether that answered your question, frankly.
Yes, sir. It did answer my question.
Okay, thanks, Shivangi.
Thank you, sir.
Raj, can you go next?
A very good evening, sir, and thank you
Hi.
for joining us.
Good
Sir,
evening.
my question to you is, sir, in recent years, consulting firms are expected to implement device solutions. How do you think that B-school students should equip themselves to meet companies' expectations as a result of changing this business trends?
Right, that's a very good question. And you are right, Raj, when you say that the consulting firms are now changing their model. In fact, they have changed their model in the past 8 or 10 years, wherein clients are now expecting them to deploy whatever they recommend, right? And as B school students, we have been always learning about strategy and the pages and the analysis and all of that stuff, right? But what has happened is now that has become a common knowledge. So if you think about the world, let's say before 2005, Google and all of these things were very sparsely available, or maybe not available in real life, and hence people were valuing somebody coming from let's say McKinsey and Company, PwC, and all of them, finding out certain data from across the world, doing some analysis and giving out some pages as recommendations. But now, when you go to the clients would tell you, or companies would tell you that, boss, all of this I can do. I can just Google this out. I don't need you for this. What I want is I want deployment. I want results. I want implementation from all of you. And hence implementation deployment is obviously very relevant. And that is where all the consulting firms are moving now. I think from our perspective, when we are getting out of the business school, what is it that we should do to make sure that we are ready for these kind of opportunities? I would say the first is you have a subject called organization behavior, OB, if I'm not wrong. Maybe I think in term 3 or term 4. I don't remember. We had that organization behavior. Do you have it?
Yes, sir. It's part of term
Yes.
1 and 2 as well.
Yes. So, and a very fantastic professor used to taught us in XLRI at that point of time. We never took that subject very seriously, frankly. But so that is something that you should take up very seriously. That is point number 1. So subjects like this, right? Organization behavior is only an example, but subjects where you actually try and understand the human side of the problem and how do you actually deploy it in real time. So that is one. The second thing I would suggest you is we obviously in B school we do a lot of cases, right, as a part of all our courses. But again, when we are doing cases, our focus obviously is on, okay, look at the tables, look at the data, analyze and come up with some solution. Okay, but give disproportionate focus on whatever is the solution, X, Y, Z. When you actually implement it, when you deploy it, what are going to be the challenges and how are you going to solve for those? Okay, have a discussion around it. All of you are experienced people, right? So you already know what's going to happen there when you deploy those. So have a disproportionate focus on the implementation and all of that stuff. The third thing I would suggest you is there is a very good initiative called Bright Line. I'm not sure whether any of you have heard about it, but just Google Bright Line. It's an initiative, I think, by BCG and all. And they basically focus on this part of the problem, that how do we make sure that we implement whatever people are recommending in this world, right? So they have a lot of frameworks that they have developed already. So try and search Brightline and you will find those frameworks, and then think about those frameworks. How do you deploy them, all of that stuff. So I think that is sufficient when you actually are at the interview table, having those frameworks, having that structure in your mind. And then as you go forward, then you would learn it. Because what has happened is McKinsey and Company started McKinsey implementation sometime in 2008. Okay. And they have really developed implementation into an science by now, and they are continuously developing it. So McKinsey also keeps on publishing a lot of research papers and all of that stuff around implementation. But what I'm trying to say is earlier implementation was thought to be an art, but now there are a lot of frameworks around it. There are a lot of structures around it. So try to get all of that stuff. Try to learn all of that stuff. May not be a part of B school, but from outside. And then you are ready for implementation.
Thank you, sir. That answers my questions. Thank you.
Abhinav, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi, sir. Good evening, sir. So as
Hi,
you were mentioning about strategy consulting. My question to you would be like, what are the major areas of difference between a consulting role and a strategy role, according to you?
So when you say consulting, it is strategy consulting, or you are talking about some other consulting?
Hey, simple difference between a strategy role and consulting role, different roles altogether. Like, what is the basic difference that we need to gauge between both the roles?
Okay, so let me actually answer you. There are three kinds of roles, probably, whatever I understand. One is in-house strategy roles. Okay, so for example, you go to the Tata Group, they will have in-house strategy wing. You go to Reliance, they will have in-house strategy wing and all of that stuff. So one is your in-house strategy. Second is the strategy consulting. So McKinsey and Company, BCG and all, they do this strategy consulting. And the third is, let's say, non-strategy consulting. So whatever you want to call it, right? But the difference between one and two, which is in-house strategy and strategy consulting, is it self-evident, or do I need to talk about it?
Second and third. The second between second and third.
Second and
like
third. Okay. So basically, what's the difference between strategy consulting and non-strategy consulting? Okay. When big firms do non-strategy consulting, most of it, 99% of it, is around transformations. Okay, large-scale transformations. Okay, the problem in strategy consulting is typically about strategy. So it might be marketing strategy, it might be operational strategy, it might be corporate strategy, finance strategy, HR strategy, and whatever it is. When it is transformation, it is more about a certain impact. So the problem definition is something like, I want to increase my ROIC by 2%. How do I do that? Or I want to increase my bottom line by XXX billion. How do I do that? Or I want to increase my sales force effectiveness by these many points. How do I do that? Okay. So when it comes to the transformation consulting, the problems are more about the field impact. What happens in transformation consulting is these engagements are long-term engagements. Okay, so the typical engagement duration would be, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, all of that stuff. These engagements are typically multi-location engagements. So you would be, let's say, you would be consulting the head office of a fertilizer company, which is having, I don't know, maybe 10 odd manufacturing locations across the world, 100 odd marketing offices across the world, and all of that stuff, right? So the transformation consulting encompasses transformations or changes at a lot of these different geographically dispersed offices or locations, and hence it is always very broad. So first of all, it is long term, it is very broad. The third is, typically in transformation consulting, the fees are linked to the impact that is achieved. Okay, so if you increase my bottom line by this much and you share 20% of it, that's how it goes up. Okay, so the fees are always on risk, and hence the teams that are deployed for transformation consulting are, I would say, very experienced teams. So strategy consulting is typically done by somebody who is fresh from college. For example, in case of McKinsey, the team would be engagement manager plus maybe 2 associates or 3 associates, right? And the associates are typically having 2-3 years of experience from IIMs or XLRIs. In case of transformation consulting, because it is always at risk, because the fees are linked to the deployment and all of that stuff, a lot of team members are going to be industry veterans. Okay. So the teams are very big in transformation consulting. Team size could be 30, 40, 50 across the globe. And the team contains people from diverse background. So it will also have the strategy guys. So it will also have the IIM pass out associates, but it will also have somebody who has got 30-40 years of industry experience. It will also have somebody who is very thorough in the data analytics, has got 8 to 10 years of experience into it. It might also have somebody who is a very fantastic mechanical engineer, chemical engineer, or something like that. So the teams are very diverse. And hence the team leader of these kind of engagements is also typically somebody who has got that industry experience. So those are the main differences in transformation consulting and strategy consulting. And people like us, especially people like all of you, are more suited for transformation consulting role, not strategy consulting role. So when you think about joining different consulting organizations, okay, think about these roles more, because frankly, strategy consulting, all of us try to get into strategy consulting, right? Because that's something that's very very celebrated. Okay, and there is there is a myth going around in the market that strategy consulting is class A, non-strategy consulting is class B. Okay, but frankly, it's not like that. At least the firms like McKinsey and all, they don't look at it that way. For them, I won't be able to share a lot, but for the big firms now, a lot of their business is coming from transformation consulting and not strategy consulting. Because strategy consulting, now the clients have got their own in-house strategy teams, they have got their data and all of that stuff. So transformation is now the focus forward. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Shweta.
Thank you, Nidesh. Sir, I think most of the part of my question you have already answered. So in line to what Raj has asked, I wanted to know that, since we are doing MBA and we are from IT, most of us are from IT background, but the JDs we see across has more of the digital transformation technologies, which is in trend now, like AI, ML, cloud and all. So how an MBA graduate should get into that digital specs, or is it like mandatory to have something or some or the other part of digital in our skill set?
Some or the other of digital?
Yeah, like say cloud skills or say AI, ML, data analytics or anything. So normally it used to be like people wanted to move from IT and then go to some other industry, but now it looks like most every industry has some or the other part of cloud or AI, ML kind of digital transformation part. So how one should be ready for that?
Right. I would say that's a good question. A lot of companies, right? Almost all of them, right? Let's say at least 70% of the companies that exist today globally and also in India want to do something or the other around digital. Okay, industry 4.0, supply chain, everything, right? Those are sort of buzzwords. But as I said, over the past couple of years, people have also learned, the companies have also learned that the world might look very well, the digital and all of that stuff, marketing brochures, presentations and all of that stuff look very interesting. But when it comes to the real life impact, it's sort of not there. We don't understand what exactly does that mean. Okay. And hence what happens is a lot of companies now value profiles which have a couple of things in those profiles. Okay, so the first is let's say there are 3 things required for a digital transformation to be successful. I won't say digital transformation, but let's say there are 3 things required in a profile of somebody who is expected to lead digital transformations. Okay, thing number 1 is domain knowledge. Okay, so knowledge of the particular industry or knowledge of the particular function. Okay, thing number 2 is, let's say, the commercial acumen, I would say. coupled with the organization behavior kind of understanding. Okay, so deployment challenges, implementation problems, understanding of all of that stuff. Okay, so that is skill number 2. And skill number 3 is awareness of the digital technologies. Okay, so if somebody has these 3 things, or somebody has experience in these 3, then people say that this is a guy who is a good guy for us to lead the digital transformation. Okay, so to answer your question, probably people like us, all of you, could actually target those roles which are called digital translators or digital transformation leaders. Okay, now a lot of companies even today, when they say digital transformation leader or chief digital officer or something like that, a lot of companies still today prefer somebody from IT, okay, information technology. Okay, but companies also understand or have started understanding that only understanding digital is not at all enough. Okay, the person needs to understand my industry, needs to understand the functions, and he needs to understand the deployment challenges and all of that stuff. Okay, so you will find a lot of these kind of roles in the market. So that is probably answer to your part A of your question. Part B of your question is what kind of digital stuff should I learn about if I want to be a successful digital translator or digital transformation officer and all of that stuff. In my opinion, you don't need to be I would say thorough about the tools that are being used and all of that stuff. You don't need to be thorough about the concepts. Okay, but what you should have is you should have basic understanding of what exactly it is, right? So for example, you should have a basic understanding of what is a cloud, okay, and how does that work, and okay, what are those companies in this world who can make this happen for me. You should have basic understanding of, okay, what is the random forest, okay, how does that work, and where will I find it, where will I find a good guy who can do this. Okay, so that kind of knowledge is important, and believe me that even that knowledge is missing, by the way. I was sharing a funny incidents with you that we were talking to one organization, and then we made a sales marketing presentation there saying that we will actually take all of your data to the cloud, and then from the cloud our expert team will analyze it, and all of that stuff. And then the next time we go to the client, the customer, whoever the guy was present there, he is telling his boss that, oh, SKF has advanced so much that they now look at the cloud movements and tell us when our machines are going to fail. Okay, so that's what cloud is out there, probably for some of them. So this was on a lighter note, but yeah, so you need to understand the basics. Okay, so if somebody tells you about machine learning, you need to understand what exactly is machine learning, what is supervised machine learning, what is unsupervised machine learning, and all of that stuff. I don't think you need to understand the codes behind it. I don't think you need to learn Python. You don't need to learn R and all of that stuff. That's not required for a chief digital officer or a chief translator, digital translator, and all of that stuff. Okay, I would recommend you, there is one channel on YouTube. The channel name is StatQuest, StatQuest. Some of you might already know that channel, but I found it very useful when I wanted to understand these statistical concepts better. So can refer to that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Ankita, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hello, sir. Good evening.
Hi,
So,
Dave.
yeah, so I just have a follow-up question on your whatever you just said. So, in this environment, which is like we see an environment where there's a lot of uncertainty, volatility, how do you suggest that we keep up with the trends? I understand that we don't need to learn different languages and all, but what would be the way we can upskill ourselves?
So how do we keep ourselves abreast of new things happening in this world? Is that the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know. I basically follow. Uh, I just keep on reading Bloomberg. I think that's it. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know what's the answer, but I keep on reading Bloomberg, and I come to know a lot of new things that are happening, at least in the US and the developed world, which we even don't know about. So yeah, maybe I don't know. My answer would be that simple. Bloomberg or FT. That's it.
Sure, sir. That works.
Oh, all of you must be doing that already.
Arjun, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Nirdesh. Good evening, sir. Hope I'm audible. Apologies, I couldn't switch on my video. There was some problem with my camera. So my question was, I predominantly worked in digital transformation side in the implementation level. But post MBA, if I wanted to pursue in the same career line, organizations would expect us to lay the digital strategy and the roadmap as well. So how to bridge this gap? Because in MBA we had corporate strategy, finance strategy, or marketing strategy courses, but especially digital strategy, I'm not sure whether such courses were available. So how to bridge this gap to get the knowledge of digital strategy as well from you?
Okay. Okay. What is digital strategy in your opinion?
Uh, my thoughts were if we wanted to do a digital transformation for an organization, what is the current infrastructure they had, so what best we can do, what is the roadmap that we can build in order to transform their current infrastructure towards a digital. Maybe if they were doing invoice processing manually, so if we can able to do convert that into a digital, if that gives out the ROI. So then laying out the strategy or the end-to-end roadmap of how we can able to digitalize this invoice processing model uh, from a manual paper based to a system based or any application based. So yeah, I'm sure that I'm very naive in this. So as I wanted to build knowledge on this, so that's the reason I was asking.
Yeah, no. So to be actually digital strategy, when you said digital strategy, right? It is still a strategy. Okay.
Yep.
What is strategy? Strategy is basically your game plan. Okay.
Yep.
So where you say, okay, this is what I want to achieve. These are the challenges. These are my competitors, and what are those 3 or 4 things that I need to do to get ahead of my competition or to achieve whatever I want to achieve and all of that stuff, right? So that is what strategy is, right? Now, whether it's a digital strategy, whether it's a finance strategy, HR strategy, and all of that stuff, strategy is strategy to me. It doesn't
Okay.
change. Okay, the approach doesn't change. Okay, the answers obviously, the specifics obviously would be different, but the approach is not going to change. So frankly, I don't know, and I don't think that for digital strategy as such, there is something, there is a different subject and all of that stuff that you would have to learn. But having said that, you will have to actually look at some literature, or again, just keep on reading certain stuff about how are different companies, for example, let's say Geo, okay, or Reliance Industries, okay, how is a company like Reliance moving from oil and gas business to the business which is led by digital? Okay, if you keep on reading about this, I think that would actually give you a lot of answers about digital strategy. Okay, so what are the things that you should consider when you think about digital strategy? Where invoice processing by that way, this way, whether dashboarding through Power BI or Tableau and all of that stuff. These are not the questions that you would answer in a digital strategy. So just keep it at that level. Try to first understand, when you say digital strategy, what is digital strategy? What are those questions that you are going to answer? You will find it on net. Just Google it, and then keep on just looking at these companies which are basically ahead in the game of the digital. So look at Netflix, for example, what Netflix is doing. Look at Amazon. Just keep on reading about that. That's it. Nothing else is required, in my opinion, frankly.
Okay, sir, that helps. Thank you very much.
So we are at the last question of the day. So Pratyusha, please go ahead.
Hi, sir. I would like to ask you regarding the position of women that is given in the senior leadership roles. That is, do you think that women are given adequate importance in the run for senior leadership roles? Like, what is your take in that?
I think that when it comes to the senior leadership roles, the top managements, when they are looking for the candidates, they are gender neutral. Okay, so they are not looking at any person because of a particular gender, but they are looking at any person because of the particular experience, the particular expertise, and the capabilities that that person brings to the table. Okay, so from the top management's perspective, they are gender neutral. They will give equal importance to women as they do to men. Having said that, the pool of talent available for this election invariably is skewed towards male population. Okay, so when the top managements are choosing for the successors or for the next senior leadership, out of 30 odd people, maybe 27 are male and only 2 or 3 are female. Okay, so I would say the selection pool is skewed a lot, but when it comes to the selection, I think it is neutral, gender neutral. But because the pool itself is skewed, you would see a lot many men on senior positions than women. That's how I think of it. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
With that, we come to the end of the Q&A session. I think it was a really insightful session with you. Having learned about the covering all the aspects from consulting to touching upon AI and ML and ultimately ending towards the importance of women in the senior leadership roles. It was really an honor for us to have you amongst us. And we look forward to have you amongst us again, sir. So thanks a lot for having this session with us. And it was a privilege to have you amongst us.
Thank you very much. Not sure whether it was helpful, okay, and whether any of you found any answers that you were looking for. I definitely expected a lot of other questions, a lot more questions from this batch, but that's good, no problem. So hope you found this useful. I think that was the intent of this session, and all the best for your academics and the career. And happy to sort of, if there are any problems, any challenges, if you want to get in touch with me, feel free to do so. Would be more than happy to do that.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to highlight that, since we are taking up organization behavior in this term, so we have pretty much highlighted the importance of that subject. So people who are not taking it seriously will definitely take it seriously going forward.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you very much for hosting me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for taking
it was pleasure interacting with all of you. Bye bye. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye bye.